Okay, so maybe you have a big presentation coming up and you really want to make sure you nail it.
Mm,
Or maybe you just want to feel a little bit sharper mentally.
right.
Well, either way, you've come to the right place because today
Yeah.
we're taking a deep dive into the science of memory,
Right.
how it works,
Yes.
and more importantly, how to make it work better.
Absolutely.
We've got some fascinating research and expert insights lined up for you today.
We do.
And trust me, you might be surprised by some of the things we uncovered.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you know that just a handful of blueberries a day can actually help delay memory decline?
It's true.
Or that there are specific techniques you can use to remember pretty much anything?
Yeah, for a long time, memory was seen as this fixed ability,
Oh, interesting.
like your height. But thankfully, research is showing us just how dynamic and trainable our memories really are.
That is encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
So before we jump into the how-tos,
Okay.
let's start with the basics.
Mm-hmm.
The source material uses the analogy of a computer to explain how memory works.
Right.
Talking about encoding, storing and retrieving information.
Like saving a file to your hard drive
Okay.
and then opening it later.
Got it.
So first, your brain encodes information coming in from your senses, what you see, hear, experience.
Mm-hmm.
Then it stores that information away.
Okay.
And when you need it again, your brain retrieves it.
Okay, so it's like a three-step process.
Right.
But what's really cool is that memory isn't just one big storage unit.
Right.
There are actually different types of memory working together.
Exactly.
So let's break those down a bit. First, we've got sensory memory,
Okay.
which I think of as that fleeting impression. You get like the scent of someone's perfume as they
Right.
walk by.
Yeah.
It's gone in a flash, right?
Exactly. Sensory memory only lasts a few seconds, just long enough for your brain to decide if something's important enough to pay more attention to.
Oh, I see.
If it is, it gets passed along to short-term memory.
Okay, so short-term memory is where we hold information we're actively using,
Yes.
like a phone number we're about to dial, but it's still pretty limited, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Think of it like a mental juggling act. You can only keep so many balls in the air at once.
Okay.
Short-term memory can only hold a small amount of information.
Yeah.
And only for a short period of time, maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Unless, of course, you use a technique like repetition to keep it active.
Which makes sense if you think about trying to remember a long list of items.
Yeah.
It's like those items are constantly falling out of your mental grasp.
Right.
But how does information make it from short-term memory into long-term memory where it can actually stick around?
That's where things get really fascinating. It involves a process called memory consolidation,
Okay.
and a lot of that heavy lifting happens while we're asleep.
So we're not just passively resting when we sleep.
No,
Our brains are busy at work, filing away memories.
that's right.
So how much filing time do we need each night for optimal memory function?
Most adults need between 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep.
Okay.
And it's not just about the quantity. Consistent sleep, going to bed, and waking up around the same time is key for regulating your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
That makes sense. Now, I'm curious about the impact of lifestyle on memory.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that memory is trainable.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean we can actually improve it through things like diet and exercise?
Absolutely. While genetics do play a role, lifestyle factors have a huge impact on how well our memory functions.
Wow.
Think of your brain as a high-performance engine.
Okay.
You need the right fuel and regular maintenance to keep it running smoothly.
So let's talk fuel. The source material highlights some interesting findings about food and memory. For example, there's research showing that just a handful of blueberries a day can significantly delay memory decline.
That's right.
What's so special about blueberries?
They're packed with a specific type of antioxidant called anthocyanins,
Okay.
which are particularly potent at protecting brain cells from age-related damage. Think of them as tiny little shields for your brain.
So I guess it's not just a marketing gimmick when they call blueberries brain food.
No, not at all.
What other memory-boosting foods should we be stocking up on?
Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, are essential for brain health and have been linked to better memory function.
And those leafy greens, everyone's always talking about spinach, kale, things like that.
Yeah.
What's their role in brain health?
They're loaded with folate and other B vitamins,
Okay.
which are crucial for cognitive function
Got it.
and help protect against age-related cognitive decline.
It's amazing how directly our diet impacts our brain power.
Mm.
So we've talked about sleep and nutrition. What about exercise?
Yes.
I know it's good for my body,
Right.
but how does it benefit my memory?
It's like cross-training for your brain.
Oh, interesting.
Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, delivering those essential nutrients and oxygen,
Okay.
but it also stimulates the growth of new brain cells,
Wow.
a process known as neurogenesis,
Okay.
and strengthens the connections between them.
But what about those of us who hate going to the gym? Are there ways to get these brain benefits without becoming marathon runners?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even moderate exercise, like a brisk walk, can have a significant positive impact.
Okay.
The key is to find something you enjoy and make it a regular part of your routine.
Awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
Finding something you enjoy.
Exactly. It really is.
Yeah.
About finding those activities you enjoy
Right.
and making them a sustainable part of your life.
Yeah.
But beyond those foundational lifestyle habits,
Right.
there are also specific techniques we can use to improve our memory, almost like giving our brains a workout.
Okay. That's what I'm really excited to learn about. What are some of these brain-boosting techniques?
Well, one of the most effective is using mnemonics.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of these, but they're more than just, catchy rhymes or acronyms.
Yeah.
They really tap into how our brains are wired.
I remember using mnemonics in school, like every good boy deserves fudge, to remember the notes on the lines of the treble clef.
Yes, classic.
But I have to admit, I never really understood why they worked.
It's all about association. Our brains are much better at remembering things when we can connect them to something meaningful, something we already know.
Right.
Mnemonics create those links, turning abstract information into something more vivid and memorable.
So instead of trying to remember a random string of letters or numbers,
Right.
you're giving your brain a story, an image, or a pattern to hold on to.
Exactly.
I like that. What's another technique we can try?
Another great one is chunking.
Okay.
This is especially helpful when you need to remember large amounts of information,
Yeah.
like a phone number or a credit card number.
I've definitely used chunking without even realizing it.
Right.
It's so much easier to remember a phone number in groups of 3 or 4 digits than as a long string of 10.
Yeah.
But why does this work?
It all comes down to the limitations of our short-term memory.
Okay.
We can only hold a limited amount of information in our minds at once.
Right.
Chunking breaks down large pieces of information into smaller, more manageable bits,
Yeah.
making it easier for our brains to process and remember.
It's like packing for a trip. It's much easier to fit everything in your suitcase if you organize things into smaller bags and compartments.
Exactly. A great analogy.
Okay, so we've got mnemonics for creating memorable connections and chunking for breaking down information into bite-sized pieces.
Yes.
What else?
Another powerful technique is visualization.
Oh.
This involves creating vivid mental images of the information you want to remember.
Oh, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
If I need to remember to pick things up at the grocery store,
Right.
I'll literally picture myself walking through the aisles grabbing each item off the shelf.
Exactly.
It's way more effective than a written list.
That's a perfect example. By tapping into our brain's visual processing power,
Okay.
we create a much stronger memory trace.
Gotcha.
It's like turning a boring list of words into a captivating movie in your mind. And speaking of movies,
Yeah.
think about how easily you remember scenes from your favorite films. That's visualization at work.
That's a great point.
Mm.
Our brains are wired for visual information. So we've
Okay.
got mnemonics, chunking visualization.
Mm-hmm.
Any other memory tricks up your sleeve?
One more that's really effective is spaced repetition.
Spaced repetition.
Yes, this technique involves reviewing information at increasing intervals,
Okay.
taking advantage of what's known as the forgetting curve.
The forgetting curve. That sounds a bit ominous.
It's not as scary as it sounds.
Okay.
It's simply the natural tendency for us to forget information over time if we don't make an effort to retain it.
Right.
But here's the key.
Okay.
By spacing out our review sessions,
Yeah.
we can actually outsmart the forgetting curve and strengthen those memories.
So instead of cramming all at once and then forgetting everything,
Right.
we space out our study sessions, gradually increasing the time between reviews.
Exactly. Let's say you're learning a new language.
Okay.
Instead of trying to memorize a ton of vocabulary words in one go, you review them a few times that day, then again the next day, then a few days later, and so on.
Right.
Each time you revisit the information, you're strengthening those neural connections, making it more likely that you'll remember it long term.
It's almost like reminding your brain, hey, this is important, don't forget it.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of techniques now. Mnemonics, chunking, visualization, and spaced repetition.
Yes, quite a few.
But there's one more aspect of memory that the source material mentions that I found really intriguing.
Okay.
It talks about the impact of stress and mindfulness on our ability to remember things. I have to admit, when I'm feeling stressed, My memory definitely seems to go out the window.
That's not just your imagination. Stress and anxiety can really impair our memory function.
Really?
When we're stressed, our bodies release hormones like cortisol,
Okay.
which can interfere with the processes of forming new memories and retrieving old ones.
Oh.
Like trying to think clearly in the middle of a hurricane,
Yeah.
the brain's just not functioning at its best.
That makes a lot of sense. So chronic stress is essentially putting our brains in a constant state of system overload. No wonder it's so hard to think straight when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. But here's the encouraging part.
Okay.
Mindfulness practices such as meditation and deep breathing can have a profound impact on our ability to manage stress and improve our memory.
I'm all about finding ways to de-stress. Tell me more about how mindfulness helps with memory.
Well, studies show that regular meditation can actually increase gray matter in the hippocampus,
Okay.
a brain region that's crucial for memory formation. It's almost like giving your brain a spa day.
So it's not just about feeling calmer in the moment. It's about creating lasting changes in the physical structure of our brains.
Exact.
I find that pretty amazing. And what about deep breathing? Is that something that can have a similar effect?
Absolutely. Deep breathing is an incredibly powerful tool for calming the nervous system and reducing stress.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is that you can do it anytime, anywhere.
It seems like a much more approachable way to start incorporating mindfulness into your life.
Right.
You don't need any special equipment or training. Just a few minutes and a willingness to focus on your breath. We've talked a lot about the things we can do to improve our memory, from lifestyle changes to specific techniques.
Yes, we have.
But what I'm hearing from you is that it's not about finding one magic bullet.
Right.
It's about taking a holistic approach to brain health.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that everything is connected. Our physical health, our mental well-being, our daily habits all play a role in shaping our cognitive abilities.
So it's not just about trying to remember facts and figures. It's about nurturing our brains so we can live richer, more engaged lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
About seeing memory as this incredible tool for living a more fulfilling life. Not just remembering where you parked your car,
Right.
but truly connecting with experiences and the people around you.
Absolutely. And the wonderful thing is we have more power over our memory than we often realize. It's not something that just inevitably declines with age.
Right? It's not like we're just stuck with the memory we were born with.
Right.
We can actually shape and improve it through our choices and habits.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who are ready to start boosting their memory power, what are some key takeaways they can put into action?
Well, first, remember those foundational pillars.
Okay.
Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep.
Right.
Nourish your brain with those memory-boosting foods we discussed, and make regular exercise a non-negotiable part of your routine.
Yeah.
Those are the cornerstones of a healthy and resilient memory.
It's like building a house. You need a strong foundation before you can start adding the fancy features.
I like that analogy.
And speaking of features, let's not forget about those direct memory techniques. Mnemonics, chunking visualization, and spaced repetition.
Yeah, those are important.
Those are like the power tools for really taking your memory to the next level.
Exactly. They give you a practical toolkit for remembering anything from names and faces to important facts and figures.
Right? And don't underestimate the power of mindfulness for managing stress and protecting your brain. Even a few minutes of meditation or deep breathing can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. It's like hitting the reset button for your brain, giving it a chance to declutter and recharge.
And remember, a healthy brain is an active brain. Keep those neurons firing by learning new things, challenging yourself with puzzles and games, getting lost in a good book. Whatever sparks your curiosity and keeps your mind engaged.
Absolutely. Learning a new language, picking up a musical instrument, even something as simple as trying a new recipe. These activities all help to build new connections in your brain and keep it flexible and adaptable.
So it's not just about preventing memory decline as we get older,
Right.
but about actively expanding our cognitive horizons and embracing lifelong learning.
I love that.
And here's a thought to leave our listeners with today.
Yeah.
What if instead of just viewing memory as a storehouse for facts and information, we saw it as a gateway to deeper connection, to greater understanding, to a richer experience of life itself?
That's a wonderful perspective to consider, because ultimately memory is about so much more than just remembering the past.
Right.
It's about shaping our present and creating a future filled with meaning and purpose.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this and any memory tips or experiences you'd like to share. Drop us a comment on our social media or send us an email. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.